What if events went differently? What if Sony's Venomverse was combined with the MCU? What if Eddie Brock was in the final installment of Avengers Endgame? What if Venom did join the Avengers against Thanos in the final battle? How would this shape the entire timeline of the MCU? Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into the MCU fan fiction. Eddie was invited to an interview with the serial killer Cletus Cassidy, like in the original timeline. Cletus tells him that he will bring Carnage when he escapes the prison. Just as Cletus was taunting Brock, suddenly Cletus vanishes into dust. Brock was surprised and alerted the other guards. However, to his surprise, he saw the same thing happened to the other guards. Realizing that something is amiss, Brock called Anna, but nobody picked up the call. Brock went outside and realized that most of the prisoners and prison guards have already vanished. It was much later that Brock realized about the blip. He was devastated that even Anna ended up in the blip, and he decided to do more research with his journalism skills to understand what happened. Much later, he realized that the Avengers were battling with Thanos, but were unable to prevent him from snapping. Brock wasn't sure what really went down, and he decided to track down the Avengers and their whereabouts. The original timeline of Endgame would be the same, where the rest of the Avengers would go to Thanos, and Thor would ultimately decapitate his head off. Fast forward 5 years later, Ant-Man would return from the quantum realm, and he would arrive at the Avengers compound. Brock, meanwhile, has managed to place the puzzles together of the Avengers. Thanos and the Black Order, a part of him, was furious with the other heroes of Earth as they were supposed to protect them and ultimately failed. This caused half of the universe to be wiped out. Venom then urged him to get his revenge on the Avengers. While Scott was discussing about time travel, Brock went to the Avengers compound. He rang at the doorbell and told via the surveillance camera that he had information on Thanos. Natasha and Steve were hesitant at first as Scott has just arrived a few moments earlier. Brock said that he is a very well verified journalist, and Natasha did a quick check and he was verified, of course, and they weren't aware that he was Venom. They allowed him to enter the compound. Brock then entered and told them briefly about himself and what happened 5 years ago. He then said that he was devastated when he lost his ex-fiancée and his colleagues. He blamed the Avengers for their failure to fight against Thanos, and Steve knew that something was amiss and he went into defensive position. He told Natasha and Scott to get back as he sensed hostility in Brock. Brock then transformed into Venom and started attacking them. Natasha and Scott immediately evacuated while Steve tried to hold him off. Steve tried to use his surroundings to fight against Venom. As Venom overpowered Steve and was about to kill him, Steve said that they have tried everything against Thanos. It was just not him that lost the people close to him. He said that he has been trying to hold it together and not everyone will move on. Brock then calmed down and went back into his human form. Venom wanted to eat them, but calmed down himself. Natasha came back and shot a taser, stunning Brock. A few hours later, Brock woke up and he was tied to a chair. Steve said that they never heard of such a creature like him, and Brock proceeded to explain what he is and about Venom himself. He said that he was just too emotional and felt that the Avengers were responsible for the deaths of many people. Just then, Scott told him about time travel and the plans. They agreed to meet with Tony Stark just like in the original Endgame timeline. Brock wanted to join them, but Natasha and Scott were hesitant to believe him. Brock then told them about his weaknesses, which is Sonic and Fire, as a sign of trust. They went to meet Tony as in the original timeline. Tony was surprised to meet a new member, Brock, and Brock further explained that he wishes to help the Avengers, even if the chances are low. Brock wants to try his best to bring back Anna if possible. Much of the storyline would be the same, and Brock would join Banner, Lang, Rogers, and Stark as he wasn't familiar with going to space or Asgard. Natasha still didn't fully trust Brock, so he stayed with the remaining Avengers. The Avengers would then reunite and place all of the stones into the gauntlet that Stark, Banner, and Rocket had built. They learned that Natasha had sacrificed herself to get the Soul Stone. As they were discussing who should wield the gauntlet, Brock wanted to volunteer himself as the symbiote could take the damage from it. Banner disagreed and said that he would do it himself as he is the most resistant to the gamma radiation. Banner then reversed Thanos' snap, and Brock received a call from Anna saying that she wasn't sure what happened. Brock was very happy to hear her voice and told her that they should meet up. Just then, a loud explosion happened aimed at the Avengers compound. Brock quickly transformed into Venom and shielded him from the damage. He saw Thanos and wanted to attack him, but Steve held him backwards. Steve said that they cannot charge towards Thanos as it would be a rash decision. Eventually, Thor, Tony and Steve went to face off with the Mad Titan. Meanwhile, Brock waited for the right time to surprise Thanos. The Mad Titan overpowered Stark, Thor, and Rogers, and even would wield Thor's hammer. As Rogers was on the brink of defeat, Brock in Venom form lunged at Thanos, shocking him. Venom, who was still fresh and bent on revenge on what Thanos did, continuously attacked him. It was an even bigger battle between the two before Thanos used the Power Stone to bring forth a large amount of debris, crashing onto Venom. Thanos then used the Reality Stone to send a powerful shockwave to Venom. As the shockwave was sonic-based, Venom started screaming in pain. Thanos knew that Venom was weak towards the sonic attacks and continued shooting the sonic beams at him. Just then, Captain America swung Thor's hammer and hit Thanos backwards, giving Venom a breather. The Endgame storyline would continue, where a restored Stephen Strange would assemble the rest of the team. They would eventually clash with Thanos as Captain Marvel arrived and destroyed Thanos' warship. Thanos managed to overpower her and seize the gauntlet. In the original timeline, Stark managed to obtain the stones and the gauntlet was in his hands. In this timeline, as the Mad Titan was about to perform the second snap, Venom overpowered a weakened Thanos, and Stark managed to seize the gauntlet. Stark was about to put the gauntlet in his hands before Brock stole it from him. Brock said that while he never was an Avenger, he waited 5 years to exact his revenge on the Mad Titan, and the symbiote should and would be able to survive the impact of the snap. Thanos looked at Brock and he placed the gauntlet on his hand in Venom form. Brock then told Thanos that he will pay for what he did all this time. Brock and Venom then said, "We are Venom," before snapping. The strain of using the gauntlet originally killed Tony, but here the Venom symbiote was able to tank it. However, as a result, the force on the symbiote was too much, destroying it. Brock managed to survive due to the symbiote defending it. However, he was paralyzed from the back to the bottom, as even though the symbiote tanked it, the pressure was immense from the host, which is himself, as the symbiote was dying. It said that it was happy to become Brock's friend, and Brock was already weakened and thanked Venom for helping him to the end. Tony was still alive and told Brock that he was a part of the Avengers even if he lost Venom. Cap will still be an elderly version of Rogers and give the mantle of Captain America to Sam Wilson after returning the stones and Thor's hammer to the proper timeline. Thor would join the Guardians of the Galaxy with the ruler of the new Asgard. Brock would receive treatment and Tony decided to help him with his rehabilitation of his paralysis. Brock could walk just a little bit much later and told the Avengers that he would want to continue his journalism career. As Brock was about to go to a government building for an interview, he noticed something lurking near the drain. Something would jump towards his face and started to go onto his skin. Brock screamed in pain before his entire body started to turn white. The successful bond would turn him into the anti-Venom. That would be Venom's brother. And that is going to be what if Venom was in Avengers Endgame. What would you guys think would have happened if Venom and the Sonyverse were connected to the MCU? If you guys did enjoy this fan fiction, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, as I will be making more MCU fan fictions and maybe even some more Venom 2018 and Venom 2 fan fictions. But anyways, as always guys, thanks for tuning in and have a fantastic day.